Hey everyone, so today is November 16th. We're halfway through the month of November, and I have yet to see anything on social media about anybody doing No Stirrups November. So, what happened to No Stirrups November? Is it just a bad idea? Or are we just getting lazy as riders and it was too hard to do No Stirrups November? So, come talk about it with me and watch while I ride rah-rah with no stirrups. Alright, so here we go. Dropping my stirrups after a lively warm-up there. Pulled my senior mare out, and she wasn't sure why she was being unretired. But anyway, so No Stirrups November historically has been a month where most riders pull their stirrups off and work on developing an independent seat and a stronger leg by not riding with their stirrups. That trend lasted a good couple years, made for some good social media posts, but it looks like people are doing that quite a bit less, and there was a good reason for that. It was more along the lines of people were not fit enough to be able to ride without their stirrups, and so they were bouncing around on their horse's back, and that, I think we can all agree, is not fair to the horse, and it also didn't really help develop your leg or your seat. So with that said, I do think no stirrups is really important, and I did like the idea of No Stirrups November because it gave people an opportunity and a bit of an incentive to work on their no stirrups riding. All right, so after that lively warm-up, we are going to move into the no stirrups work. So to talk a little bit more about No Stirrups November and why I think it's kind of sad that it's fallen out of favor, a few years ago, everybody, I think maybe for Instagram posts, I'm not sure, decided to participate in No Stirrups November. So everybody would do a varying degree of no stirrups throughout the month, which is great. No stirrups work is really important. But over the years, I think it was made really clear that most people didn't have the fitness they needed to be able to, one, make the most of riding without stirrups and actually benefit from it, and two, they were all just kind of like flopping around like dead fish on their horses, which is not fair to your horse. So over the last maybe year or two, I've noticed that come November, people post, well, maybe you should hit the gym and work on your balance and core and stability that way instead of flopping around and bouncing around on your horse's back, which you can only do so much at the gym. But I do agree that if you do not have a certain base level of riding fitness, then, and all you can do is flop around on your horse, and maybe don't do it. So you should be riding with stirrups, without stirrups all year round. This shouldn't be a once a year thing in November. So you should have some base fitness for riding without stirrups already if you're an intermediate rider or above. But I also think we are getting a little bit lazy as riders. So I don't see many riders riding without stirrups as often as I think they should, just throughout the year. And the other thing I've noticed is I've watched a couple of the junior riders who are doing well in the equitation, and they'll post while they're down in Ocala, they'll post them taking lessons. And I just remember watching a group lesson of all these equitation riders, and they were doing no stirrups, and maybe they were working on their sitting trot specifically, I don't know. But they were all just like doing the sitting trot. They weren't posting, and their legs were flapping around. Like, they didn't even have their heels down, so their leg wasn't engaged at all. So we're just going to assume that the case was they were working on their sitting trot. But I have a gut feeling that there's kind of a lack of no stirrups work. So with that said, I think it's important, and we're going to talk about how you can do no stirrups work, and how you can build your fitness up, and what is fair and what isn't fair to your horse while you are building up fitness and skill and balance. So first of all, you need to determine what you're trying to get out of it and what your level of riding is. So if you're a beginner, no stirrups is not for you, unless you're walking and you just drop your stirrups and then you're practicing picking them up. That's a exercise I'll have beginner riders do. Or if you're just walking and steering and trying to get some balance that way. But as a beginner rider, I don't recommend that you try to do much more than just walk around and steer and work on your balance without stirrups. So for intermediate and advanced riders, they can benefit a lot. I think advanced riders can benefit through the balance, and then especially when you're riding to the fences, it's really good at reminding you that you have to kind of sit back and wait, because you can't kind of like 3-point in your stirrups to the fences like you would in the hunter ring. You have to sit in the saddle and kind of wait for the horse to come to you. So for me, it's been really beneficial in helping me not rush to the jumps. And then it's also really helped with me not having such a big, or I guess small hip angle, or more closed hip angle. That's something a bad habit I'm trying to break from the hunters. So to me, those are some really beneficial reasons why you would do no stirrups. 2, it builds your lower leg. So your lower leg should be really stable, and you should be squeezing against the horse from the top of your thigh all the way to your ankle. So you should have full contact throughout your whole leg on the horse, and this will help that, because if you're squeezing with your whole leg, you're going to be able to post, and you really can't post if you're just pinching with your knee. So when you're posting, your heels should be going down, your lower leg should be engaged, of which I am not doing very well here. And you should be like a slinky, like stretching your body long and like head up to the sky, heels down to the ground. And in addition to some of the beneficial things that you get from riding, I do have a couple rules. So under no circumstances are your hands grabbing the horse's neck for balance or to help you push off. If you're grabbing the horse, you're doing it wrong. So you have to be able to have your hands up off the horse's neck, and you absolutely have to be posting at the trot. If you're tired, just stop and walk. So if all you can do is 10 steps at the trot, just do 10 steps. It's also not okay to only canter your horse because you're not fit enough to post. So go into your ride and maybe do this at the end of your ride. I think riding with no stirrups at the beginning of every ride and posting and making it part of your warm-up is an excellent idea. A lot of people don't do it, but I would highly recommend that.
So there was one summer that my trainers took my stirrups away, and I didn't ride anything over fences or under saddle for an entire, probably close to a year, but at least the whole summer, where no stirrups. When I was jumping or flatting, besides being super fit, it really improved my riding. So that same summer, I went to a big horse show and was riding in one of the medal classes, and the test for the top 4 that get called back was you have to do the whole test, no stirrups, and I ended up winning that class. It was exciting, but I am 100% certain that my ability to ride without stirrups made that possible.